Greetings from outside Washington, D.C. It's Jerry White on behalf of the executive team at URI, wanting to give you an update of what's been going on in the last 6 to 8 weeks. And if you'll bear with me, I'll share a screen with some slides for us to go through together. So first and foremost, greetings. Yes, we're covering a couple months all in one, and we want to jump right in. One of the things we're most proud of, because it's 6 months of effort, is the strategic framework that has emerged after all of these months of town halls and ad hoc working sessions and the 3 main working groups or work streams that were created last March, where staff and trustees and members of the SAC and the foundation and other partners have worked together to create a sort of a strategy compass and guide for us as we develop our priorities over the next 5 years. So again, we want to remind everyone the purpose of the exercise wasn't to develop a detailed operational strategy or plan, but actually to focus on our purpose and figure out how to prioritize our main lines of effort that would build on the progress we had already been making at the Global Assembly in Kigali in June 2023. So we had lots of widespread participation. There's recordings of all of this and many notes you can all review if you'd like. But after 6 months, we're proud to say that we were able to push forward with regional review a strategic framework that the Global Council has given a green light for us to move in the direction and the initiatives proposed. So again, it's not a hardcore plan or strategy. It's a framework and a compass for us to make our plans as we look at 2025 budgeting and region by region operations. So stay tuned to see how we take the framework and integrate it into our planning. So you know that the 3 main areas that we will align, and I think they are mutually reinforcing and inextricably linked, is the area of priority 1, network growth and connectivity, area 2, learning ecosystems and seed funding, and area 3, violence prevention and healing. So we have many slides, of course, with details and sample objectives, goals, initiatives, and ways to measure, but just wanted to remind everyone that this is here for people to review and use as a guide and compass as we begin to plan the next 5 years from 2025 to 2030. So congratulations to us on this great progress. On the harder side of life, looking at the numbers, we have had a tough year. We started, as you know, pretty confident with an aspirational budget of over $4 million, and we'll probably bring in, plenty of new money, but it wasn't plenty enough. We started with $500,000 in the bank and new 3-year pledges and more than 100 new donors, et cetera. And so it looked like we were building crescendo and momentum. And then boom, by the middle of the year, we were hit with some really unexpected news and reduced giving. So some people, because they were aging and had serious illnesses, others because they've given plenty over the years to URI and were declining more support. So we ended up facing a $900,000 sort of revenue hole for URI. And so this has also happened in the context of reduced funding in the interfaith sector, whether you talk to Religions for Peace or the Parliament of World Religions or ICRD. Many of our friends have gone through leadership transitions as well as reduced revenue. So it's not unique to any NGO, but at the same time, we wanted to be prepared and resilient to overcome. So what did we do? We had to do 3 things: cut costs, then raise money, and then partner with the URI Foundation, where we have an endowment and strategic reserves to help us through this rocky time. So we've cut all non-essential costs to realize about $312,000 in savings by the end of the year. And we consulted with all the senior staff and HR legal counsel and looked at our commitment to a 3-month, 20% reduction in the salaries of all the directors, including myself, Bill Swing, and senior staff and advisors. So I really want to take a moment and thank those people who have stepped in to take the hit and the cut to help us get to the end of the year intact. So we've begun the process as well of looking at a more conservative, what we'll call a core budget that will be closer to $3 million for next year, we imagine, and will still align and advance our strategic framework. So it's been a tough year financially, but we look like we'll be able to stabilize and survive and face a new day. So we're also looking at not just cutting costs, but raising money. So here's some bullets on some of the things we're doing, including we have new proposals, thanks to Karen Volker and the team, going to 12 new foundations who have never heard of URI. So we're looking at some partners who might be able to give 6 to 7 figures over the years. That will take some time. And meanwhile, we're launching our annual appeal this month, and we'll continue to fundraise week to week. Part of that plan is standing up a fundraising committee. And an organization our size should have one. And it's been decided that it will be nested at the Senior Advisory Council, which is being revitalized this year, thanks to Bill Swing, John Weiser, and friends. So in addition to cutting costs and raising money, we had the good fortune of partnering with the URI Foundation, and the president, David Stearman, has agreed to serve as an interim treasurer and help us through this time. So they last month approved a $500,000 loan to cover the last quarter of cash flow and costs through December 31st, 2024. So with all our planned budget costs and our end of year fundraising, we expect to pay back the original first loan of $300,000 by the end of the year. So fingers crossed, and with all of your help in giving and soliciting new support and partnership for URI, we're confident we'll start the year strong again. 2025, as you all may know, is upon us already because the budget process starts in October. So here we are in October, looking to set up a timeline with the Budget and Finance Committee as follows, with meetings this month, looking at budget discussions and program areas and regions, then looking at drafts circulated around November 6th, and then revisions and review by the 20th of November, followed by proposing a budget that would be submitted to all of you in time for the Global Council review and motion. So we have some time, as per usual, to dig in on the numbers and to examine each of the opportunities that align with our strategic priorities. So the budget process starts now. With all that going on in terms of the numbers or the scaffolding and the support for URI, one of the really exciting things I think we should focus on is how much growth we've seen just in the last year. So we've seen like 87% growth in the number of CCs this year, with 60 new. We aren't even through the end of the year, but there's 60 new approved and engaged already through September, I believe. And the highest to lowest regional growths are showing up in Asia. It makes sense with India, our flagship with the most number of CCs, that where you have CCs or good clusters, people find out about them and they also want to build CCs. So Asia and Africa lead the pack, followed by Latin America. And we hope going down the list that we'll see renewed growth and purpose and excitement in the coming year. So keep at it, spread the word about URI, and let's grow together. When it comes to individual members, we're also seeing growth. So a 34% increase to 1,610. So 1,610 individual members, and now in 95 countries as opposed to 83. So there's been a significant growth in this as well. And we're expecting that our new app will help the URI network continue to grow and start sharing real time their learnings and their activities together. So thank you for everyone involved in that. In addition, the violence prevention is going apace. So we have the Nigeria overview with 15 CCs and 8 partner organizations engaged, with over 201 religious leaders, community leaders, and government officials all trained in the health approach to violence. So this is actually reaching out to leaders with significant influence over 1.5 million Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. This is no small matter. Sri Lanka as well, after Ravi took the health approach to violence, was training in India. He went home and has already started to apply it with CCs, 15 of them, and 80 people from across 4 faiths in Sri Lanka, and starting to campaign against election-related violence, which he has also advertised. And in September, we had a community call talking about the intersection of peace education, conflict transformation, and violence prevention. There are many different methods that we look at. So here's an advertisement of, a New York newspaper article on the Plateau region. So in West Africa, Emmanuel, our coordinator, was quoted, and we got good publicity for our training in Nigeria on the health approach to violence. As mentioned, Ravi's moved ahead with pulling people together on preventing election-related violence in Sri Lanka. And in Honduras, as you heard from my last report in July, I was there, it continues to grow from our first seating of the first CC in Honduras in January of this year. We now have, I think, 4 or 5 already signing up to become new ones, including indigenous participation in Latin America. So what started as like one location in less than 10 months has grown to 7, I think, districts, or what they call departments across Honduras. So over 120 people have already been introduced to the health approach to violence prevention, and local coordinators and CC members are reaching out. So I think there's even 6 or 7 new workshops that are planned by local coordinators in Honduras. So you see, once we introduce the health approach to violence prevention at the community level, there's a high percentage of pickup and increased appetite for more training and to spread the word, not just in one district or one city or hotspot, but across the country. So the indigenous participation here is critical, with Rosalia as well as Francisco sort of organizing a virtual meeting with all the participants who gathered in July to reflect on the meeting and start discussing next steps for 2025 work plans. So we look forward to partnering with our indigenous partners and CCs and trustees as we plan for 2025 growth. So beyond the violence prevention, we are also seeing growth, 350% increase in the participation of URI global CCs and online learning in the community calls. So that's a lot. I mean, we didn't have the offerings before, but now we have lots of opportunity for people to learn about URI and increase their appetite. So there were 1,974 registrations, and there have been about 900 participants in our community calls and trainings. And we're doing our 3rd round of CC orientation workshops. They're already underway. So none of this was available 2 years ago. And so bit by bit, we're pulling together the learning ecosystem, and we'll add seed funding to that in the coming years. So growing appetite for more learning and equipping and preparing our CCs to do their good work. On the violence prevention front, we also saw the series that had 10 teams and 33 participants and 10 CCs from 9 different countries. In each case, we're making sure that we have strong youth outreach and participation, whether on violence prevention and the health approach, or other ways of doing peace building and eco-healing through earth restoration. So advocating for our future and the rights of nature is an important new push that we're hearing from youth in different regions who want to focus on this priority of environmental justice and healing. So as we're moving the youth challenge ahead, you know that outreach to Indigenous and to women and youth was found to be one of the most effective ways to grow and solidify the CCs based on our 3-year impact assessment of our work around the world. So we are training what we're calling youth champions, who are able to complete different tasks online. It's almost like micro-credentialing, where they will in the future get badges for being able to take on new assigned tasks and pass and grow on the different courses that will be offered on our learning ecosystem. And even this leads to just outreach and advocacy. Many of the youth who wrote letters and completed their tasks were sending them to representatives at the United Nations for the International Day of Peace. So if you're interested in video highlights or the youth challenge, we can send those to you, or you can click online. So we've had more media training for youth also to understand how to talk about URI and their work. So 23 young people trained in social media video skills in the last 6 weeks. And so we're proud of that participation and growth as well. So there you have it. We'll see you again in November. Just coming soon, we have, as I mentioned, the budget development and drafting process for 2025, and also launching our new fundraising circle and annual donor appeal. Thank you, Diana. And I'll be heading over actually for an audience with Pope Francis in Rome with our partners in the Wilton Park, an organization and network that's focused on women leadership, as well as climate change and environmental justice, aligning with Pope Francis's vision for ecological healing. So looking forward to this month, keeping you in touch with all we do. And I hope that any and every one of you will feel happy and eager to contact us. Just reach out by email or by text or WhatsApp, and myself and any one of the directors, as well as our many regional coordinators and CCs, can fill you in on the stories that you want to hear more about. So thanks for all the support. It's been quite a couple months, and we're back into the fall work of raising money for URI, mobilizing resources for the amazing mission that we have and share. So with that, I'll sign off and wish you well.